guys, welcome into this video. Alex here, otherwise known as Clash of Style, joined once again by one of our best builders. He's previously been on the channel building at Town Hall 9, and that is of course Gaston G. Welcome onto the channel, man. Great to have you on here again.
Yeah, hello man, always a pleasure to be here.
Alright, so you're going to be building a Town Hall 10 base for us today. You're going to be kind of walking us through your Town Hall 10 building process. So what sort of style of base you're going to be building?
So first I'm going to build a base for sieges, and that means no restrictions, like just regular wars. You can face higher level troops in Clan Castle. You can even be attacked by higher town halls, just counter the meta for regular wars. First off, I'm going to place my town hall in a corner, and I might move it later, but this is for a reference point. And the reason why we place the town hall in the corner is because it messes with the log launcher, wall wrecker, and battle blimp pathing. So if you have your town hall in the middle, the opponent can attack from every angle. But if you place it far out in the corner, the attacker will be forced to use a log launcher, wall wrecker, or battle blimp from a specific side, and you can bait that, or you can counter that entry. So I'll just leave my tunnel there for now. Now I'll start building the base from here. I'll start with just a simple 9x9 compartment. And we talked a lot about compartments in the Town Hall 9 base building video, so I'm not going to go into that. So we'll just branch off from here. And the first thing you want to play, or the first thing I like to place at Town 10 is the infernos. I usually like to go with one single and one multi, because at Town 10 regular wars with sieges, the most common strategies are sap drags, sap witches, the P.E.K.K.A attacks like P.E.K.K.A hogs or P.E.K.K.A smash, and you can occasionally see some bow witch, but that's not as common. And basically, if you have a single inferno, it makes sap drags, which is probably the easiest and strongest strategy, way harder. Because a single inferno will quickly melt the drags, especially if you have like a sweeper and storages around it. And the reason why you go with one single and not two is because the spam strategies are very strong. So if you go with two singles, you will easily lose to bow witch or sap witch. And the reason why we don't talk about Lalo or Queen chargers really is because when you have siege wars, you can have, or you can bring very strong defensive clan castle troops like super minions and headhunters, and those can easily mess up a queen charge and kill her even through ability. But same for Lalo, these super minions can really melt Lalo very quickly. So in regular Town 10 wars, you usually face a spam, and that's what we're going to focus on in this build. So I'll just expand these compartments, and you want to make the infernos unreachable, because they're, like we stated previously, they are the key defenses. They are the strongest defense at Town Hall 10, and there are a lot of inferno comps, but in this base I'll just keep that quite simple and make comps that are that work with the most common comps, like the 9x9, and that means that I make the inferno compartments a bit longer, so the buildings inside here, like for this example, this cannon is unreachable from both sides, and that makes it so it makes it easier to build, and then you can fix your walkability of infernos later on if you want. So I'll just do something like this. As you can see, I have both my infernos near the entry, and that's because and they are split. So this single inferno, it will quickly melt a log launcher or P.E.K.K.A. attack, and P.E.K.K.A. attacks are forced to attack from this angle due to the tunnel placement, and you want to have the multi close by so that the attacker needs to choose if he engages the single early or the multi early, but you don't want to have them so they can be reached from the same comp, because that creates a lot of value for the attacker. So I'll just continue with these standard compartments and continue to make the base bigger. So I'll just do some 9x9 compartments and some 9x5 compartments. Then now we can curve these walls, because I don't plan on having defenses here. I plan on having storages, but we'll talk about that later. It's important to note that the multi-inferno is still unreachable from here. And then I will save these walls and use them later on. So, like we said, the most common strat you face is tap drags, and therefore you want to have your air defenses away from each other, and you want to have low sap value with them, and that means no archer towers, no sweepers, and no you don't want to have them close to infernos either or each other. So this cube shape or rectangle of air defenses it's quite weak against Lalo, but it's quite strong against drags, because if you sap 2, you still have to face 2 at the same time. So here, for example, the attacker could sap these 2 air defenses or these 2 air defenses, and the reason for that is because the attacker wants to engage the single early. So because we want to prevent that, so we will place a sweeper there, as well as we can place some storages to really slow down the attacker. And then we can place down our X-bows, and we place one here because it's unreachable from almost every major compartment except this one, and we will do the same on the other side. Place one in the middle, and we will place this on ground to really cover the whole base and engage log launchers or wall wreckers quickly. Then we will place the clan castle here to help cover the single and make drags even harder. And this clan castle will engage the opponent's kill squad early, and will help to take it down before the log launcher can get a lot of value and open up these sections over here. And on the same note, we will place our Barbarian King nearby to help create even more damage. And like we said, we have 2 major sap drags entries. Either you sap these 2 air defenses and attack from here and here, or you sap these 2 air defenses and attack from here. So I will place one sweep in each direction to make that harder. Then I'll go with the queen, and usually you want to have your queen on the back end, and that is because a lot of kill squad, especially hog kill squads like P.E.K.K.A. hogs, it must take out the queen, so you want to have it on the back end, close to your town hall. So place my queen there, and then even though Lalo is quite uncommon, we still want to do the standard bomb tower to protect the queen. We can note here that you can get some sap value with the queen and air defense, but that's usually quite hard to prevent. Since the queen walks around, it's very easy to. You can almost always sap her in a air defense. And at Tunnel 10, bats are introduced, and they're not very common, but it's still good to have splash coverage over all air defenses. Otherwise, the attacker can use 2 bat spells to take out an air defense, and that, if you invest few spells, and then you have a lot of spells left to sap even more air defenses, and then it becomes almost impossible to defend sap tracks. And we see these 2 air defenses are covered by our multi-inferno, so no need to place wizard darts there. Yeah, we'll just place out the cannons with air defense to once again prevent sap value. I can do something like this. And then we want to start placing the archer towers away from the air defenses. And we want to have some archer towers in the middle to create more damage. Otherwise, kill squad or queen chargers, for that matter, will only power through the entire base. I will to prevent enemies from attacking here, I will place storages here, so it's so attacker gets slowed down a lot. I will bend the walls like this so I can fit another storage. And then the remaining bomb tower I will place it here on the outside, and that is to make witches harder. Because if the opponent saps this multi, and then it's very likely that we will have a witch flying from here, and bomb tower is very good on the outside to really take out those witches, or take out those skeletons, and let the point defenses target the witches. And on this, because of the same reason, I will plant my geared archer tower here, and this either forces a sap of this single inferno, or this geared archer tower will completely melt the witches, because the witches will get stuck on these elixir storages, and the geared archer tower will kill the skeletons and start firing on the witches. Okay, so now I'll just make the infernos harder to reach, because right now the pathing is quite easy for, say, hogs. You can just send a few hogs here, they'll immediately target the cat and then the single, and here you can almost immediately target the multi. So I'll place a few mortars, because mortars are good on the outside. They help with making pathing hard, and they make witches, and they kill the witches skeletons, and you can also hide bombs between them, which is even harder. And I will actually place a archer tower here, and that's because we talked this air defense it's unlikely that the opponent will sap it, and this creates weird pathing, because if you send hogs now, they could go here, or they could go either way. It's hard to predict where the hogs will go and if they ever will reach the inferno, and you can test that later on and see that the attacker probably wouldn't dare to try it in a real hit. And then we'll do the same with this inferno. We'll place the archer tower here, a mortar, and then another mortar, and now it's hard to target this inferno tower. The remaining wizard towers I will place one here just in case they try to bat this air defense after they take down this inferno. That's unlikely, but the splash coverage here is quite low, so I think it's there. And then the last wizard I'll place it here to create like a kill zone for loons, just in case the attacker tries to use lab loon, even though it probably won't happen. Okay, so I'll now start to place in the trash, and the Dark Oak storage is very high HP, so I'll place it with the queen. And then storages have a lot of HP, so they are with the infernos. And then we'll just go in HP order and place the Dark Elixir drills because they're tanky and can make some entries in here a bit harder. And then we'll just go to collectors and start to place them. We see that this single inferno is quite easy to reach. You can reach it from the core here. So these extra walls, I will just place them here too. So now it's a lot harder to get this inferno, especially if you come from around here or try to jump it. It's no longer possible. Yeah, as you can see, we're starting to run out of trash. So a way you can earn or get more trash to cover the entire base, you can take away these corner pieces, and if you curve the walls, you get a smaller base. This air defense is still unreachable, and you have more trash for other parts. So that's a trick you can use. However, if it's likely that a attacker will, or that the attacker will attack from here, then you can quite easily reach both of the cannons, so it's still a trade-off. And the reason why we're placing builder huts in front of the mortars is because at Town Hall 10 we get introduced to the bowlers, and the bowler, if you have a higher hit point building like the elixir collector, the opponent can place a bowler here and bounce the mortar. And to get the mortar for just 6 troop spaces and create a funnel is very good value. So we try to avoid that. It's also common to bounce air defenses. So if you have a air defense at the edge, you don't want to have a high HP building, say an elixir storage like this, because then you can get an air defense for 6 troop spaces, which is just insane value. The last phase is traps, and we can start with just the giant bombs, because you have 5 giant bombs, and on this base we don't have a lot of places to place the giant bombs because we mainly used 9x9 compartments and they don't fit any giant bombs. But what you can do, and what is very effective against hogs, is to use the Teslas to hide giant bombs. And if you place Teslas like this, you can fit a giant bomb in between, and that gives a lot of value. So just do like this, and now the giant bomb fits even better. And so I'll move this here and place another giant bomb here, and I'll move this inferno backwards 1 tile, make it even harder for hogs to reach, and then place a giant bomb in between. This giant bomb, giant bomb could be good if the attacker tries to use an not so common attack and attack from here, try to get the queen early and the king. And then lastly, I will do a surprise. I'll do a surprise giant bomb here. And here I will move this even further. And I will hide another giant bomb here. So I'll take this and move it here. So the entire base is covered by trash. Now we placed all the giant bombs. And there are a lot of giant bombs in this area, but the hogs are likely to split here. So if the hogs attack from here, and they will hit one giant bomb, but then it's like will split and hit this giant bomb, and other will hit this giant bomb. So it could still work out very well. Then the springs, since we have a lot of 9x9 compartments, it's very easy to place them. I'll just place them in between these defenses because they're away from the queen and the king. And yeah, I can place the last ones here. If the opponent attacks from this side, they will still work. And now it's time to move the base. So I'll move it on this side, and I'll place the town hall even further away, and that makes it now it's quite tricky even to attack from here. So you almost have only this area where you can use an effective log launcher or wall wrecker, and the single combined with the geared archer tower can quickly take that out. I think I will even place this giant bomb between these two. I think that's better. That can also mess up a funnel if the opponent tries to use, I don't know, some wizard or Valk to funnel. And then the Seeking Air Knights, I'll use them to mainly just prevent drags, and if the opponents try to attack from this area, it's better to have an air mine like this, because the queen is likely to draw in drags, and they will still get hit by the mine. I'll use the same or a similar technique over there. And lastly, I will place these mine on this multi in case the opponent tries to use a babe drag to take it down. After they get one air defense, they could try to get sneak and set in one babe drag. But this will prevent that. The skeleton traps is next. I'll place one skeleton trap near the single because that makes queen charges and even smaller kill squads a lot harder because the skeleton trap will stall, and the single will get a chance to heat up. I'll move this in one tile, and I'll place a skeleton trap here. And as you can see, this skeleton trap overlaps with the queen range, so the attacker will, or hopefully the opponent's queen or queen charge or whatever, will get stalled by this skeleton trap while the queen engages, and you still have an expert that's firing and perhaps even a cannon or archer tower. and that should be enough to cause a rage or a queen ability if the opponent queen charges, and can even cause the queen to go down if they are not quick enough to react. The last trap I will just place here with these hidden Teslas to make this even harder for witches. And at the same time, I'll place these bombs here and this is a witch bomb, and this witch bomb will insta kill witches, and that could be very bad for the attacker because the witch attacks heavily relies on the flanks, and as you can see, we have a lot of outside bombs. And here we have a bomb tower, so it's very likely that the witch flanks will go down, and then the core attack will get out damaged by this back end with a lot of splash. Some small bombs, just in case the attacker tries to use wall breakers. They are most likely to go for the queen, or they're most likely to go after the infernos, but both infernos are quite covered with damage, and it's hard to wall break. But I'll just place the last small bomb here in case they, or here is better, in case they try to sue the queen and the air defense. Like I said, this base is not made for countering Lalo, but these rams don't have a clear spot because the lavas will travel between all these air defenses and will pop around them, so a lot of the base will get triggered, or a lot of rabs could easily be triggered by lava hounds or lava pups. But I'll be sneaky and I'll place 4 air bombs here, and the reason behind that is 4 air bombs will insta-kill loons, and on a fresh hit, if the opponent sends in a big squad of loons to quickly take out this inferno and geared arch tower, they will all go down. But then on a second hit, it's quite easy to just use 1 loon to take everything out and get insane value. But this is for 1 hit only, or not for 1 hit only, but we expect maximum 1 lava hit because, like we said, not many players uses lava hound attacks in regular wars. And then the last air bomb will place here. As for the defensive clan castle, I strongly believe that the strongest Tunnel 10 clan castle is 2 super minions, 1 headhunter, and 5 archers. And the super minions and headhunters, their damage is just massive, and even kill squad attacks or Sui attacks can easily get taken out early and out of opponents doesn't expect it. So therefore it usually gets a lot of value, but it's not always you have higher tunnels that can donate to, and in that case you should probably go with a lava hound clan castle that is to prevent witches, because they will be very strong. But if your base is still a bit weak to dragons, not that this base is, you could run a drag, witch, and 3 archer clan castle, and the drags and witch will stall up the opponent drags, and hopefully should be able to defend. Alright, so this time I will do a base for no sieges, and I will actually incorporate a few more rules. This base is also for no sap and no witch. And the reason behind that is because the first base, we talked a lot about those strategies, and these are actually quite common rules you can see in no siege tournaments and no siege matches. So when you don't have access to saps or roaches or sieges, that means that the defender doesn't have access to higher level defensive troops like the super minion and head hunter we talked about. So now the strongest strategies are the queen charges, because no siege is very hard, so you need a lot of value, and easiest way to get a lot of value is with a queen charge. Or the other strongest strat is the lava loon, or say Sui Lalo or queen charge Lalo, and that's because the lava loon is an extremely strong attack, and if you get good pathing, the lavas will tank for the loons and they will just push through the entire base. So therefore, this base will focus a lot on how to counter queen charges as well as lava loons. So once again, I will just start off with a simple 9x9 compartment, and I will branch off into an inferno compartment. I will still use one single, and that's because the queen charges are very hard to execute when you have a single, especially if that singles cover the core of the base, because then you really need to queen charge away from the core, and so that's what we will do here. And we still use one single mainly, and once again the reason is because of the spam. Otherwise you can use, say, mass miners, or even Falcon can be very strong if you have two singles. So I'll use this compartment, and it's nice to note that the single inferno is unreachable from outside and from the middle or the core of the base, which will be in here. I'll place a multi over here later on. Once again, the opponent can charge directly into the inferno and use freezes, so that's why we want to use storages to slow down queen charges. And I'll also place a dark storage in here, and I'll make the compartment like this, and now if the opponent attacks from here, the queen will get stuck on this storage and the inferno will melt it. And in the previous base we talked about using just regular 9x9 compartments, but in this base I used a specific inferno compartment, and as you can see, this is only 8 tiles long, and that makes it weird when you want to continue to use the common compartments like the 9x9. As you can see, it's a gap over here, and that's one of the drawdowns of only focusing on the inferno tower. But I'll continue. I'll expand back into some 9x9 compartments and some common 9x5s. Then I will place my queen here away from the infernos, because Lalo is, if you try to use Lalo, you almost have to get down the archer queen. You could use skeleton spells, and it's a lot more common to use skeleton spells at tunnel 10 than at tunnel 9, but it's still quite the skeleton spells they are quite risky because especially if you have auto compartments, the queen could easily jump into other compartments, and the skeleton spell will be useless, and the attack is likely to fail. So if you have like a bomb tower here or here, it will cover all of these different compartments and make skeletons out harder to use. And on this base, I'll use a weird air defense setup. I'll use a setup like this. And the reason behind this is there are no saps, so these air defenses you could sap either these two or these two, but since saps aren't allowed, it doesn't matter. And these air defenses cover each other, so each air defense have 3 or 4 air defenses that cover, and that quickly melts lavas, as well as you have this single that covers these 3 air defenses. So if you get a single to lock onto a lava, it will once again quickly melt. So it's very hard to use lava on this portion of the base. And then we can place a splash on the other side, like here where we'll make this inferno compartment, and that will make the lavas go here and quickly die, and the loons will be left with these big splash areas where they are likely to die. But like we talked about on the siege base, we still need some coverage of splash. Otherwise, the opponent will use bats. So I would place a wizard tower here to cover these two, and then these two will be covered by the multi. And I will actually use a dead zone, and I'll use an inferno compartment like this. And this is quite common at No Siege, because this multi-inferno is not reachable from any compartment except this compartment and these channels. But they're very hard to wall break into, and the only place you can wall break into them are at the intersections. So if you later on places bombs here, it will be very hard to break in. And then I'll just place down the last walls. And this air defense here is reachable from here, so I'll prevent that by just making this a tile longer. And I'll make a 9x9 compartment here, and once again I'll make it so we don't have a big intersection here. Once again, the inferno compartment that is specifically made from the inferno makes it a bit harder to build around, but we manage. Then I'll start to place down my clan castle, and I'll place it here, and this will make it even harder to charge into this inferno, because now you have out of storages, you have the clan castle troops which will stall, and it's almost impossible to charge from here now, as well as it covers the inferno, and as we can see, this inferno is still covered by air defenses, so it's hard to snipe this with a baby dragon. And if the opponent attack from here, they could possibly reach the queen early, so I will place my king here, and now I have a lot of damage here, and it will be very hard to charge it, almost impossible. And then I will place the bomb tower here, because the queen only has one nearby air defense, and this bomb tower will prevent the air defense. And this clan castle is still covered by splash. It's covered by this multi-inferno tower, so it's unlikely, and it's semi-covered by this wizard tower, so it will be very risky for the attacker to try to scale this clan castle and these air defenses. It will require a lot of freezes and won't be won't be worth it in the end. I will continue to place down the expos, and on this expo here is reachable from outside, so I'll use the last wall here to make it even. So now it's unreachable from the outside. And the last expo goes in the middle. So now it's very hard to queen charge up here. If you queen charge here, you'll probably get your healers melted by this multi. And if you queen charge from here, you will get stuck on this Dark Elixir storage, and the single will melt the attacker. You can even, if you want to, you can even place the clan castle like this to make it even harder. And lastly, we have this area. So if you queen charge from here, you will engage a lot of DPS, and then you'll have two unreachable expos that puts a lot of pressure on your queen. And so this is basically the only angle you could queen charge from, and be somewhat effective. So I will place down a few storages over there to slow down the attacker. And I'll place one storage here, and it will be reachable from this compartment, as well as one storage here that will be unreachable. Now I'll just continue to place out the remaining defenses. So even though we aren't using saps, we still want to keep the archer towers away from the air defenses, and that's mainly because we want the archer towers and witcher towers to target the loons. So we want to keep them away. And I will place the cannon, and that leaves us with the cannons that go nearby the air defenses to prevent hogs. And I will place two mortars here to make the path into the single even harder. And it's worth noting that a lot of these defenses are unreachable from a lot of compartments. Like if you mental target will scan, and it's worth noting. And we'll want to keep as much splash away from the air defenses as possible. And I will place the geared archer tower, and it's very powerful because the high DPS makes it so it can quickly kill a lot of loons, and combined with the multi inferno, the opponent is almost forced to heal here. And here we want to make the pathing even harder, so we'll place the remaining mortars on the outside. Okay, so we need to place these sweepers, and I'll place. You want the sweeper to cover the splash areas, because you want the sweepers to hit the loons and push them back so they clump up, and the wizard tower can target lots of them. So I'll place one sweeper like this to cover this area, and then I'll place the remaining sweeper like this. No, the remaining sweeper would be like this to make even harder. You can even twist it a bit so it's like this. Now the sweepers cover this entire half of the base, and here's where the main splash zone is. So I'll make it like this. So now the opponent will queen charge will target this electric storage and this electric storage, which makes it stall. And lastly, I will just put this archer tower here to make the damage a bit higher. This bomb tower, I don't have a good, super good use for it because it's not needed near the air defenses, and it's not needed on the outside to prevent the witches. So I'll just place it here to make it harder to target this air defense. Lastly, the town hall, or last of the inside is town hall, and when you play no siege, you don't have to place your town hall at the corners, because you don't have to worry about the sieges. And the town hall has a lot of HP or hit points, and it can stall the attack a lot, and it can force the attacker to attack from a weird angle. And so I will place the tunnel here because that forces. You could reach the tunnel from the middle, but it's quite unlikely that the queen charge or kill squad reaches the middle because of the single. But this tunnel almost forces if you have one hit, especially, it forces an attack from this area to ensure the 2-star. And this is where we place the single and a lot of stall and unreachable damage, and we would be very happy if the attacker decided to hit from over there. And we'll just place out the trash. You can actually boulder bounce the bomb tower, so we don't want to have a high hit point building in front of it that isn't covered by a cannon. So this building that could potentially boulder bounce the bomb tower, I'll place it here, so the opponent has to boulder bounce it, or it's probably easier to just place a builder out here, and then the opponent can't boulder bounce it from here because the cannon will cover it. We want to avoid the buildings touching because of Valks, and Valks can create good funnel. And here we want to have a lot of our high HP trash because we said that a queen charge from here was likely. In this instance, we have a few buildings over, and that's because this base is a bit smaller than the siege base. And usually if you use dead zones or modes, the base tends to get smaller, and the meta for siege bases is a bit smaller and more compact, and makes it harder to queen charge, and you have a lot more damage hitting from every angle. And we can just increase our hit points over here. Okay, so now we're placed all the trash, and then we just have the traps left, and I'll do a quite standard trapping of this base, and it's quite usual to have, or quite common to have the Teslas with a giant bomb in between. And if we talk about hogs, it's quite unlikely that the opponent tries to use hogs because the heroes are quite spread out. Let's say if the opponent tries to use hog, they will probably attack from this area. So we want to place our traps in this area. So I'll place a few spring traps here and there, and on this side there, the hogs will get guided by the wall, and they only have one tile to stand on and hit the mortar, and therefore these spring traps are very useful. I'll continue to place some spring traps there and spring trap there. I'll just place another spring trap here with the multi-inferno, make it even bigger threat to against hogs. And this base is focused a lot on air, so it's quite easy to place the air traps here. So I'll just place some SAMs in here that will make it harder to Lalo. I want to place these SAMs a bit away so they don't hit the same healer if the opponent tries to queen charge from here. And once again, I want to have one Seeking Air Mine here. It's not likely that the opponent tries to use baby drags. And at Tunnel 10, no siege, we actually have a common strat that is called Queen Charge Babe Drags, and that tries to take out multiple Infernos. But it's very hard to, even if you take out all these, or sorry, the attack is focused on taking out air defenses with the Queen Charge, and then you have Babe Drags for the back end. But even if you take out all these air defenses, you still have the single, and to baby drag into a single is suicide. It's almost it's never happens. It's never successful. But still, we want to have one Seeking Air Mine with the Inferno. Say if the opponents try to do some sneaky queen charge, would like try to break in here and then, or use a dump or something, it could still be good to have a Seeking Air Mine nearby. We could use 4 air bombs, and it could be quite effective. Like we talked about, the opponent probably using a heal in this area, but and 4 air bombs would kill through the heal. But like we said, or like we also said, that this isn't exclusively for one hit. If the opponent use more than one hit, and you probably wouldn't want to have all your air bombs clumped up, especially in no siege, because you will face a lot of lava loons and eventually they will crack your base. So if we want this base to stand multiple hits from the same clan, we should probably space out our air bombs. I will place a Tesla here with another giant bomb and place an air bomb here. Make it a bit harder to lure out with the loon. At least you can't lure this out with a minion. I'll place one air bomb here. It's unlikely that the opponent it's quite, the opponent could attack from here, but probably this air defense area would make it hard if they try to sue from here. And I will place another giant bomb here for hogs, and place the last air bomb here away from the range of the air defense, which is the same as the lava hound pop radius. Okay, so the last giant bombs, we'll place one here, and move it like this, and place the last here, and it's quite unlikely that the opponents try to like this, and now the explode is still unreachable. It's possible to reach this Archer Tower from the outside, but it's quite hard to funnel it, and the inferno will continue to fire. Lastly, or not lastly, but last of the easy traps to place is the small bombs, and like we said, the entry from here could happen, and the queen charge from here is the most probable. We can also place some small bombs here in case the opponents try to take out this area and then walk into the multi-area. And we will place a skeleton like this in case the opponents try to start their charge from here. Then the skeleton combined with the queen the skeleton should activate before the queen, and combined they will force an early ability or rage, especially if you have these two firing. Just one skeleton trap here to stall. And the last skeleton trap I'll place in this area because it's unlikely that any first phase will trigger it. So here we kind of get a lot of value against hogs. And I will actually put this one on air. Because, like I said, Lalo is the strongest attack, especially Queen Charge Lavalin or Stu Lalo is the strongest attack at Town Hall 10, no siege. And as for the Clan Castle, if you have one hit, a lava can be very good because the opponent is unlikely to use Sui Lalo because it's a very risky strat, especially if you have your Town Hall on the inside. So if you have a one-hit format, you could bunch up these red air bombs into here, and you could use a lava loon and really force a awkward first hit or fresh hit. But if you were to use this for multiple attacks, even with all these countermeasures, Lava Loon is very strong, and it's possible that they could think of some sweep from here and then invest a lot of spells early on and to push through this area and then heal at the back end. So if you have multiple hits, I would go with a drag witch and 3 archer DC. I think that's best for this base, and in most cases and for most bases, if you have multiple hits, that's the CC that should be used.
Alright, thank you so much, Gaston, for coming on. Once again, both of these bases look absolutely fantastic. Much like your Town Hall 9 ones, I'm sure everyone is looking forward to using these ones and more. If you guys do end up using them, make sure you let us know down in the comments how these get on. Base links will, of course, be down in the description below for you guys to pick up. But yeah, Gaston, thanks so much for coming on, man. Always a pleasure. Anything you want to say to the guys just to finish up here?
It's just a pleasure to be here and have this audience. I'm really grateful. Thanks.
Awesome. Always a pleasure to have you on, man. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.